My name is Anna Gutierrez. I'm currently a content creator here at Hire with Miles. I am here today with Miles Hischier, the founder of Hire with Miles, and I'm going to be asking him a few questions. So, why exactly did you choose to call your business Hire with Miles?
Thank you, Anna, and I'm excited to speak with you today about some of my background and experience. So why did I name this recruiting business that I've started, quote, Hire with Miles, end quote? Um, Really, if you think about the service that I provide, I'm helping a small business or a startup in the US find top talent abroad, specifically in Latin America. And I've done this myself, building an IT company with my business partner over 8 years. We've hired about 15 staff for that business in El Salvador and Central America. And so, with this recruitment agency, I wanted to signal to all of our clients that we take on that I've been in your shoes. I've done this before, and I'm relying on my personal networks and my expertise and my experience in helping you navigate international hiring. So I definitely am putting myself at the front of the company, and as you and other staff members join the team, we'll continue to lead by the first touch point will often be me as clients seek to use our services.
That sounds great. This is a bit of a follow-up question, but since you decided to create Hire with Miles to help some businesses, like what exactly inspired you to help businesses with hiring in Latin America?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the two customer types that we help the most, small business and startups. So I think of American small businesses. They're oftentimes started by a few people, and one of the main challenges as you seek to grow revenue is labor costs, and it's expensive to hire full-time employees in the U.S. And what many small business owners are stuck with is becoming a jack of all trades and wearing multiple hats across their business and working nights and weekends as long as they can until they can afford to hire a full-time staff member. And then once they have a full-time staff member, it might be another 6 months or a year before they are able to build a large enough revenue base where they can make that next step up and hire an additional employee. Those steps are dramatic. If you think about like a U.S. full-time salary costing anywhere from $60,000 at the low end, maybe up to hundreds of thousands of dollars on the high end. It's a lot of money for a small business, especially getting started in those first few years. I think about my role helping companies hire international contractors as a way to remove those big steps and make it more of a gradual trajectory. So, going back to my example, maybe a husband and wife team start a business, they are growing their revenue, but they're not quite at the point where they can afford a full-time US based hire. Maybe you hire a few international contractors for the time being to take over some of your social media marketing or help reply to emails or help out with customer support. And the investment is just a lot less. Many of our international contractors based in El Salvador, for instance, have salary ranges of $1,400 to $1,800 per month. And that gives you a sense of the investment level required. So, in summary, helping small businesses move from the trap they are in with taking big steps to being able to make a more gradual progression with their hiring, and hopefully giving time back to owners to work on higher impact activities on a day-to-day basis. So that's a long-winded answer. As far as startups, we find that many startups in the US need and want to lead with very high quality support teams. However, there's not a lot of young professionals coming out of universities in America that have interest in going into customer service, and there's not really a ton of great call centers that are training American new grads on how to be great customer service professionals. In Latin America, especially in Central America, there are tens of thousands of new grads every year, that graduate from university and go and work in the call center industry. They, over the next 5 years, become customer service professionals, is what I call them. They're great at account management, customer retention, ticket-based ways of working, and that is a incredible asset to any startup that's growing very, very quickly and needs to hire a team of professionals that could hit the ground running on day one. So.
Okay. So you mentioned about how a lot of people in the US have slowly left the whole, working for like the call industry and like community customer service. Why exactly did you choose Latin America and what are the benefits of hiring people from there?
Yeah, great question. So specific to Latin America, one, the time zone alignment with U.S. working hours is spot on. And so, unlike hiring in Eastern Europe or India or Asia, where you end up having staff members that are working nights in order to accommodate daytime business hours for the US customers, Latin America aligns very well. So that's like reason number one. Two, culturally, a lot of Latin American countries um, have like a very close cultural connection to the U.S., be it like through relatives or through like the history of certain countries like El Salvador and the U.S. So culturally, we find that those individuals are able to fit in very well and much more easily with a US based team versus international contractors that are hired from different regions of the world. Um, and then three, salaries are quite competitive, meaning you can get an equivalent customer support rep in Latin America for 60% less than you can for a US equivalent. So I would say that's kind of the main three reasons why we think it's best to hire in Latin America for international contractors.
Yeah, of course. So I wanted to ask, because since I got on like working here at like Hire with Miles, I've noticed that you usually focus more on El Salvador. And just based on that, of course, you mentioned that Latin America's time zone aligns the most with us here in the US. What exactly inspired you to choose El Salvador out of other countries in Latin America?
Yeah, so for my IT business, we started hiring in El Salvador sort of by chance, and then we ended up growing a team organically there over the years. One of the things I love about El Salvador in particular as a place to hire international contractors is its close alignment with the U.S. on a cultural and social level. So there's a long history dating back to the Salvadoran Civil War, where America was heavily involved there for years, and following the war, um, the country has maintained very close relations with the U.S. Um, so there's a few reasons why um, I love El Salvador as a destination for hiring and suggesting candidates for international hires. One is close cultural alignment with the U.S. So there's a large Salvadoran diaspora that lives throughout the U.S. One of the main sources of GDP for El Salvador traditionally was Salvadorans living in the U.S. sending money back to relatives in El Salvador. If you go visit El Salvador, you'll see a ton of American brands and restaurant chains everywhere. There's just a very, very close connection, and this goes back to America being heavily involved in the Salvadoran Civil War back in the 1980s. And following that period, the country's always maintained a very close cultural connection with the U.S. Because of that, there's been many multinationals that have built large call centers in El Salvador, and that's further cemented this like great, incredible talent pool of people to hire from. The second thing I'll mention is like we have found that Salvadorans have an incredibly hard, great work ethic, and people are very dedicated to their work. They're also very loyal, and Yeah, and we have had nothing but good experiences working through our own staff over the years at my IT company, and then now having hundreds of other Salvadorans hired by other clients. Um, and I think that's some of my main reasons why we've decided to start in El Salvador.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, I think it also helps this people from like Salvadorians like connect easier with like working remotely from El Salvador in the US and being able to like with their like hard work ethic, like prove the best for like what would be the word? Give the best that they can to help out the companies that they're hired for while still enjoying the job they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was all my questions for today. I wanted to say thank you again for taking the time and answering the questions. And is there anything else you would like to add on with about your business or just in general?
I think that's it at the moment. Thank you, Anna.
Yeah, thank you.